right, so welcome to episode 18 of the Bulldog Bark podcast. I'm yours truly, the Guru. With me today, I got the full cast. We got Michael DeRosa, BFC, and Kyle, the Butler fan. Butler is currently on a four-game losing streak, unfortunately. Still in the thick of things for a potential tourney bid, but have a huge upcoming matchup with St. John's this Wednesday, 8:30. I'm going to say this right off the bat. Get your asses to Hinkle. This is a do or die game. If you are a Butler fan, you will be in Hinkle. I don't care that it's Wednesday, 8:30. I don't care. If you're a fan, let's go make Hinkle rock. Let's give our boys a chance. This is a do or die game pretty much here. So what we're going to do today is we're going to recap kind of the past couple games and then not do too big of a huge dive into St. John's. Just an FYI for everyone listening, we are going to do a spaces tomorrow with actually a couple members of the St. John's crew. So we'll be doing a live Twitter spaces tomorrow with them, going over the St. John's versus Butler matchup. So keep a lookout for that on Twitter. That'll be tomorrow, likely at 9 p.m., but kind of ironing out the details right now. So this will be more recap of the past stuff and then kind of just our thoughts going forward on what the Dogs need to do to get a ticket to the dance. Michael, I'll start with you. Don't have to maybe, we can do a little Villanova, a little bit of Seton Hall, but what's kind of been your thoughts over this past little losing streak here?
I'm not gonna lie. The last two games, I think, are the worst games Butler's played in a while. Last three, honestly. We'll extend. I thought they played fine against Marquette, just lost. Didn't. That's gonna happen. Marquette's really good. First half against Creighton, I thought they played well. Second half against Creighton was atrocious. Villanova game, never really felt like they were gonna if they were close for a bit, but I never felt like watching it they're gonna win. And then definitely the same with Seton Hall game. Felt like these last two games are definitely Seton Hall. They played scared. You don't take 61% of your shots from three and not be scared. So that was frustrating. Those were two, you needed at least one of those four. You didn't get them. Now you're fighting an uphill battle. Got to beat St. John's. And you don't know if you're going to get a game where Rick Pitino wants to tell you how his team can't spell properly, or if they're going to look like the team everyone thought they were in the preseason. We'll get to that later. I'll let the other two speak.
No, yeah, I like everything you just said there. And the interesting thing with those last two games, I'll just add this real quick. I'll hand it over there, guys. You're right, because it was one of those games, both of them really, where Butler kept getting to this 2 or 3 point margin, and it was almost like they were deceiving you that they were in the game, but in the back of your mind, you knew that they just weren't there, and something offensively is definitely off. We can talk a little more about that, but BSC, I'll go over to you, man.
Yeah, it's been rough, and you really saw that switch during the second half of Creighton. The first half they look fine. They obviously, I think we all get a little afraid when Posh and Jalen are bringing the majority of the offense. That's just kind of been, a bad omen in a lot of the games where that's been the case, just because you have to get that three-headed monster kind of going. But the thing that has really concerned me has been just Pierre's play as of late. In the last two games, he's taken 19 shots, and only 3 of them have been from 2. And I'm not really sure what in his mind switched to just being a spot-up shooter, but it's just not how our offense goes, because it's just a wasted space. He's obviously, a phenomenal shooter, but when we've seen him really in control of his game, he's been attacking the paint, scoring from all 3 levels. He hasn't really tried that floater, so I don't really know what it is or what kind of flipped, and that's something that's just got to change, because DJ and Jamil, you kind of know what you're going to get. I think DJ's ankle is bothering him a little bit more than they're putting off. He's just looked a little bit slower and a little bit more hesitant to get to the paint since then. And then Ja obviously has played okay. He's been fine defensively. And then offensively, that it's not always going to be there with the efficiency like we've seen all Big East play. But yeah, I just don't really know what's going on with Pierre. But that's a guy that we can't afford to just have, be a Sean McDermott type where he's, just kind of camped out in the corner. We need him to be an all-around 3-level scorer.
Yep. Kyle?
Yeah, I think obviously Pierre is absolutely right. I'll just add on quickly to something that Michael said. In that I think that the second half of Creighton was a combination of us playing terrible and Creighton just playing fantastic. Of course, they played amazing that half. We played terrible. Gonna happen. The last two games, I think that Butler has realized that these games are the team mentality matters. They realize they're towards the end of the season, and these games technically weren't do or die because we're sitting here right now and we're not dead, but we're incredibly important. And if they won one of those games, may have secured like a really good shot at the tournament. And I think Michael's absolutely right in the fact that I could sense a little just hesitation, just not exactly attacking as much as they might have. DJ Davis is a type of player that I think that even though his obvious signature skill is shooting, when he's at his best, he's taking the ball to the rim. Like, I mean that, and not just Pierre. I mean, you're absolutely right about Pierre, but I'd like to add that for DJ too. Of course, DJ is not as physical as Pierre, but he's a great finisher when it comes to layups, and he hasn't been doing that as much the past couple games. And I think that the mentality needs to swap, coming from we can't lose to we have to win. And we have to go play this game against St. John's. Like I said, towards the end of the podcast, we'll get in quickly to that. But we have to play this game against St. John's. Hear this in a lot of sports, and it's a cliche, but it's true. I think we got to play this game to win rather than to not lose.
Yeah,
You gotta
and
stick it to this.
what do you say?
You just gotta take it to him. You know what would be so much fun? I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm sorry, Guru. I'm interrupting you now.
Oh, you
You
got
know
it,
what would be so much fun is if Butler just goes into Hankel and just wins by 20. I feel like it's been a while since we had one of those. Because even like the DePaul game that didn't happen. Like the DePaul game was like kind of a sweat late. It's
It
like,
was the Georgetown game, Michael.
yeah, the Georgetown game, and like even that was kind of a sweat for a bit. Like for a bit in the second half, right? It was. I thought it got down to 5 at one.
In Hinkle, you're saying. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I was saying the last time we absolutely slaughtered someone was
Oh, that
Georgetown.
was at Georgetown. That game was
We
nuts.
haven't slaughtered anybody at Hinkle since non-con.
Yeah, and even the Buffalo game, they didn't slaughter someone. Just go in, like, just beat the piss out of St. John's. That'd be fun. Who
Yeah.
says no to that?
A big thing for me too is I feel like Butler's gotten off to a lot of slow starts. Get the crowd into it early. Like we got to get the crowd into it early because I really hope everyone comes. A big thing that I can't remember who tweeted this, and so whoever did, it might have been one of you guys. I don't know, but then I looked it up too. So Butler is 342nd in bench minutes played, and has played. I believe it's the 5th hardest strength of schedule in the nation per KenPom, which basically for all you folks out there means that our starting 5 plus a couple others have played. Was it 362 D1 teams? Is that the correct number? I mean, I hate to say it, but I think the guys are also, I don't think it's also just all mentality. I think they're a little gassed. Like when you play like that level of competition night in and night out, and you're basically have a small rotation, inevitably you are going to get exhausted. I think Butler's tied for the most Q1 games played this season, or actually has the most. So I mean, let's not kid ourselves. They've had a gauntlet of a schedule. So I'm hoping that maybe just it's a little bit of a wake up call after losing these 4, and they're like shit, and hopefully can rub off some of that fatigue. But I think fatigue is definitely becoming a factor down the end here. I think it's just naturally when you play that level of difficulty, plus just not having as deep of a rotation, that's inevitably going to rear its head around it a little bit. So let's maybe talk a little bit. Again, I mentioned earlier, for anyone listening, we're probably not going to dive too much to the St. John's game. Please join us tomorrow. I'll repost the link to it when we get it all finalized. We're going to do a live spaces for that game with people from St. John's. So please join us. We'd love to hear from everyone. So any Butler fans or any fans of the Big East out there, please feel free to join us and discuss your thoughts on the game. But I do want to talk a little bit with you guys about what we think Butler really needs to do from here to solidify their spot. I think all of us are probably just going to agree we need to win out, obviously. What do you, Mike, I'll start with you again. What are your thoughts on what the Dawgs need to do down the stretch here in order for us to kind of solidify a spot?
Win out, win big. Hence the earlier point. You need to improve the metrics. Win big would do that. Win out, win big, win 1 or 2 in MSG. Get some momentum back. Momentum's definitely the first thing they need, because I feel like this is the worst 4-game stretch of Butler basketball we've seen all season. Not just because of the losses, because like most of those you can forgive, but they didn't show a ton of fight in some of those games. You need momentum back. You need momentum back bad because, like, when I'm watching some of these other games, like, if you watch Butler play the last few games compared to what we saw from Wake, who was a bubble team at the time, Wake looked leaps and bounds better. I mean, you're looking at Villanova, Seton Hall, there's 2 bubble teams. Those were the better 2 teams in those games. Just need some momentum back. You need people to start believing more so than just us, because, like, we're dipshit fans. Need people, like, out there to start believing. Win big, win convincingly. Just get some momentum going to the Big East tournament. You'll have a week off. Good game plan there. Should beat, hopefully, a Butler. I mean, excuse me, as DePaul or Georgetown. And then win the next game, and that'd be fun. And then tournament would also be fun. So win big, yeah.
I unfortunately in my head put the DePaul game before the St. John's game. I wish so bad the DePaul game was this game before we had St. John's Xavier, just to get. I mean, it'd be awesome. We should just go kick St. John's ass, and hopefully that'll get everything turned around. But it would be so nice to just have like a get right before you go into those 2 home games. But I agree with you. Momentum's everything. Right now, we have no momentum, which is crazy when you think about it, because just like 2 fucking weeks ago, I'd say we were one of the hottest teams in America. It's like wild how basketball changes so fast, because we won 5 out of 6. That one loss was like a 7-point loss to UConn at UConn. Like, we were kind of on fire. And then I don't know if it was just the pressure of, like we talked about before, staying in the tournament or what, but yeah, we just no momentum right now whatsoever. BFC, what are you, man?
Yeah, I really think that, these next 2 games, especially, just kind of getting that momentum back. And then obviously you got Xavier coming to town, our last game of the year, they're second to last. The last 2 years we've been kind of the spoiler. Obviously 2 years ago, we were really a spoiler. And then a couple years back, kept them out of the tournament. And it's going to be they got a coach that's already wearing Ohio State hats. So they're going to be playing hopefully kind of dead, which they've looked in the last couple games, but we'll see. But yeah, this St. John's game is just so massive because it's another team that's technically on the bubble, but they really need to do a lot more work than we do. Just because of kind of how they're out of conference set up. But yeah, it's really just about getting these guys back on target. I mean, in the first St. John's game, I think Posh played a little bit out of control. DJ was a flamethrower. That was when he was having his really hot start to conference play. But Ja and Pierre didn't play well, which we've seen in these last couple of games of, all right, maybe one guy's on and the other 2 are off, and we're just not going to beat decent to above average teams like that. So we'll kind of see. I think the first 10 minutes of this game is really going to kind of determine in kind of a sad way how the rest of the season is going to go, because I don't think we can afford another slow start like we saw against Seton Hall. I think we got to come out, we got to throw the first punch, we got to land the first punch and kind of go from there, because if they get out to another slow start, St. John's has some guys that can get hot. Brady Dunlap killed us in the first matchup. I don't see that happening again. But they've got some guys that can get hot, and especially with our defense, how it's played, they've got a couple ways to exploit us. So I really think we need to just get out to a lead, get hot from the start, and then just kind of take the season by the reins from there.
Yeah, like we said, I think if we can get past St. John's, obviously, please don't fuck up against DePaul. But I really feel pretty good if we get past St. John's. Like, Xavier looks like they've quit. I don't know. They just like. Butler's been playing bad, but Xavier looks like they've just quit. So I feel pretty good. I thought about that too. I was like, if they fucking play spoiler on us after we play spoiler on them, because it's going to be on their minds a little bit. Oh God, I can think of no worse scenario than Xavier ending their season in Hinkle. So please, dear God, don't let that happen. But I do think we get past St. John's. I think that I'm feeling pretty good about our next 2. Obviously, no days off in the Big East. There was one other thing I was thinking, but I'll go with Kyle. Kyle, what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's real simple as far as you talked about path to the tournament. It's real simple. You got to win these 3. If you lose one of them, I mean, of course, the worst loss technically would be DePaul, but one, we're probably not getting it at large. Just that simple. So win out. Yeah, winning big is important for sure. I'm of the belief, from talking to a bunch of people, whether those be bracketologists on Twitter or people I know that know people and just stuff like that. I think that generally, if you win out and you beat, and metrics say and probabilities say that if we win out, we're 10-10, and the likelihood is we get 7 and we play Georgetown. That's probably what happens. If we went out and beat Georgetown, I believe we have a real case to present to the committee. That's all I'll say. I think our strength of record and our away wins at Marquette and Creighton mean a lot. I think that if I had to guess, winning out and beating Georgetown in the Big East tournament is likely enough to get us to Dayton. Of course, I'd love another win in the Big East tournament. That would probably more or less secure it. But as far as the path goes, win your next 4 games, and at least you have a shot getting your name called on Selection Sunday. Lose any of those 4, and I mean any of those 4, and ultimately we're not going dancing. It's just kind of how it is.
And just a reminder to all, I'm not muted, good. And just a reminder to all fans out there, I want to go to the tournament, and I know Michael's going to hate what I'm about to say. I want to go to the tournament, but just from our perspective, because if we don't quite make it and we're still a really high seed in the NIT, I feel like there's been so many doomers on freaking Twitter lately. It's driving me insane. Enjoy the ride. We're 3 games away from the end of the season, and we're talking about Butler hopefully getting into the tournament. It's been a fun fucking season. So one thing I did want to add about the St. John's game, and please keep them off the boards. Like, please, just one time. Like, just give me 1 game with them off the boards. I would love that, because that's what they did to us, and they're gonna do it again. So we'll talk about that more tomorrow, obviously. But no, I agree with all you guys. I think we need to go 3-0, obviously. I do think we need to kick the living shit out of DePaul. I think we need to do that. And then grab one in the tournament. So unfortunately, this is where we're at, boys, but it's still fun. Hey, we're still living, we're still breathing. Because last time it went so well when we gave our predictions on the score of the St. John's game, there was no one got mad about it. Let's do it again. So, Michael, I'll start with you. What are your predictions on the St. John's versus Butler game score-wise?
Okay, yeah, that's a good thing. I remember last time people said, "Wow, Michael, you're so professional giving the predictions the way you did, by just finding the first 2 numbers around you." So I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna go with 2023 to 200 Butler wins.
Damn. All right. That's a big number. I like it. BFC, what about you, man?
82-71 Butler, and Pierre Brooks goes for a career high.
That sounds familiar. Just so everyone knows, because we're just joking around. The last time that we post our scores, St. John's fans were not very happy about our predictions. And
to be fair, they were right. St. John's.
They were right. We got smoked. I mean, they were
right.
We got smoked, but at the time we were confident. You can't blame us for being confident at the time. Okay. So right now we got 2023 to 200, 82 to 71 with a Pierre Brooks legacy game. Kyle, about you?
Let's see. Last game that we played St. John's, one of the teams scored 86 points and one of the teams scored 70 points. And I think that's going to happen again, but flip them.
All right. I like that prediction. I like the prediction. I'm going to go with Christian David comes back from the Philippines and we blow a humongous lead in the second half. He comes off the bench on the court. Kamar actually comes back from the dead and throws it over to there, and he hits a 3 and we win the damn game. All right. I have no fucking clue. I hope to God we win this game. Just again, I'm going to reiterate this. If you're a Butler fan listening to this, get your ass to Hinkle. It's a $9 tickets. Come on now, get your ass to Hinkle. Let's get it rocking early. Come on, we gotta cheer on these guys. Gotta give them the home court advantage they deserve. Fighting for their lives right here. Yeah, and as a reminder, last thing I'll say, tomorrow we're going to do the live Twitter spaces with St. John's. So we're kind of joking around right now about that. We'll give like some actual detailed insight and whatnot tomorrow when we work with those guys. So big 3-game stretch coming up. Got to push for this tournament, do or die time. And as always, go Dogs.
Michael, you got something to say?
Yeah. Actually, I want to go back to Kyle's prediction for a second. I can lower
It's
my
going to be
hand.
awkward now on this thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's gonna be really
Yeah.
awkward. That's the best part. It's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
perfect part, especially for this dumb bit. So I know you're a soccer fan, Kyle. Can
I
you
am.
score prediction so one team wins in the aggregate?
Oh, right. We have to win on like away goals or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if Butler wins by 17 and they win by 16, then I think Butler's the better team.
Well, actually, if
That's
it's
why we're
tied
better
on,
than Marquette. That's why we're better than Marquette.
fun fact in soccer, if it's tied on the aggregate, it's away goals. So it's away points. So we're gonna win then not 86-70. We're gonna win 86-69. Therefore, having scored one more point away than they did and winning. That's what happens.
Got it. There you go.
I like it. I like it. I'm so glad that we got that in there. That might be edited out. All right. All right. Anyway, go Dogs. All right.